This episode of Star Wars Clone Wars is telling us about the issue of should we build or create more clone troopers? And Padme Amidala, senator from Naboo, is colliding with Chancellor Palpatine, or with senators who are supported more by Chancellor Palpatine, who 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 they want more war, they want more clones, they want more weapons, and they want this war to not end briefly and shortly. And Amidala is arguing that building more clones, more weapons would exaggerate war and create more hatred, more foul plays, more aggressions toward each other, toward different races of this galaxy. And her main supporter is her uncle from Rodia, and we saw the Padme in Rodia with her uncle and with separatists and so on in the first season. But here her uncle, on he was named, I think, Ondo Onaka or something like that. He's poisoned, and Amidala is wondering if he was poisoned by his enemies, and his enemies or his adversaries are the senators, especially the Camino senator. Here we have an interesting fact that for the first time we see Camino senator as an old being, because they are not fully humanoid, but in Clone Wars we see mainly Caminos as young beings creating clones. And here we see a very old lady as a Camino. And important fact is that Camino planet was allowed to be in the Senate because of creating the clone troopers and being able to produce them. So for Caminos, it's important that this war will be going on further and further to produce more clones, to produce more weapons. For them is probably a very good situation in a financial way. And the ending is that of course the suspected senator from Camino, or his enemies in the Senate, was not the real perpetrators. The real perpetrators was one of his advisors. She was disappointed of him joining to the Republic side and not choosing the separatist side. But this is not, of course, the for us the most important part. The most important part is that here we see that Padme Amidala is always or often shown as a senator, as a politician. She's a politician, and she's politician of trying to create more opportunities for peace. But we see that Chancellor Palpatine, as Darth Sidious, has so many indirect influence, so much influence, indirect influence on senators, that they are ready for this war mongering, and they want this war as he wants this war. And still we don't know surely why he needed this war, but it is his schemes that this war is finally breaking out. And we see this in Star Wars Clone Wars, that we have 7 very long seasons of Star Wars Clone Wars, even though this period was only about 3 years in the whole universe. But the Clone Wars is of course important because all the Republic is being replaced by the Imperium, and Chancellor Palpatine as Emperor of this Imperium, and the downfall of Jedi Order as well. So the this episode is interesting in that regard, that it shows us rare glimpse of politics being implemented into Star Wars Clone Wars, because often we see rather war, rather clones and Jedi Knights fighting with droids and separatist forces, not so often this political Machiavellism or political machinations. And I would say that the main disadvantage for me is that for me the for me it's too unbelievable that no one focused on Chancellor Palpatine. No one predicted, or no one even have had the suspicions that something wrong is with the Chancellor Palpatine. He was so powerful in the Force that all Jedi Order, all powerful Jedi Masters, and even politicians close to him weren't aware that he was a Sith, or even that he was supporting the separatist forces to his own gain, because later at the end he used also the separatists and destroyed them. But here in the Clone Wars, he's cooperating with the separatists, and no one ever predicted, no one even had suspicions or believable suspicions of Chancellor Palpatine. Even at the end of this episode, he is saying that even though he supported Padme of not creating more clones, he needs to obey the democracy, and the Senate overturned the objections and refuted the objections of Padme Amidala and decided to produce even more clone troopers. So this is I think the second disadvantage, that the separatist forces and the Chancellor Palpatine is always two steps ahead of Republic forces. So Republic forces are almost always in defense, and for me it's unbelievable. For me, I think the Republic forces at that time would be stronger than separatist forces, and because of machinations of Palpatine, they should be destroyed, and the odds were even. But here we see that separatist forces or Jedi Knights are always behind Count Dooku, General Grievous, and separatist forces. And in this episode, it is also important to notice that music is not as generic as in other episodes, and it is really quite interesting and of high quality. It's really climactic and of showing us this Coruscant politics, Machiavellism, discussions, committees, and so on. So it's almost like a little bit like a Blade Runner vibe, we could say. The Coruscant is also the most important planet in the Republic, and it is the most urbanized planet in the Republic. One planet, one gigantic big city. Let me know what do you think about this specific episode. Oh, and the important part is that here we see not so often Padme Amidala, because often Padme is with Anakin and they are cooperating with each other. But here in this episode, we see specifically that Padme had a role in Star Wars Clone Wars and in the Star Wars universe, as important as being rather famous senator from Naboo, because she was the main character of Phantom Menace, and then even Attack of the Clones, or even Revenge of the Sith, one of the main characters. So her behavior and her politics were not as general as other senators in the Republic. She was rather famous to the point that even in some way because Chancellor Palpatine was obviously a candidate chosen to be a chancellor from the planet Naboo, but he even agreed with her or helped her, or sometimes used her in many cases. So they were close to each other. They were close to each other. Padma Amidala was not just merely another senator, but quite important senator. So yeah, let me know in the comments what do you think about this specific episode.